As you sit in quiet contemplation, a strange new sensation begins to settle in. It begins as a faint humming, but grows more intense with each passing moment. As the vibrations intensify, cracks begin to form in the fabric of reality. Flashes of images present themselves before you, and then slip like smoke through your fingers. They stream out from a vast and unknowable light in the distance, at once welcoming and terrible. Your mental faculties seethe, strain, and buckle under the immense weight of revelation. The heavens open themselves before you and the scroll of destiny unravels. Tremendous knowledge and the wisdom of the infinite fills you to the point of breaking. Your feeble, mortal mind cannot handle the weight of it. You take what you can and come tumbling, screaming back through an endless expanse across time and space. When your eyes open, they truly open, as though for the first time since the day you were born. There's still so much more to know, so much more that you couldn't contain then. But what you have brought back with you could change the world forever. You have just undergone the awakening. You have become a mage, and you've begun your long journey on the road to Ascension. Mage the Ascension is a tabletop role-playing game set in the world of darkness alongside other titles like Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf the Apocalypse. In Mage the Ascension, you play as one of the awakened, a human being who, whether through years of meditation, scientific study, or a drug-induced trip through the reaches of the mind, has gained a glimmer of insight into the true nature of reality. The more that your character grows in truth and in wisdom, the greater their power over the fabric of that reality becomes. This control over the forces of reality could take the form of elaborate spells used to invoke the power of angels to call down lightning from the heavens, or it could take the form of the scientific insight required to design and create advanced technology, the likes of which the world has never seen and can scarcely comprehend. Regardless of the form in which your power manifests, you are one of only a handful of lucid dreamers in a world of sleepers with whom you share this fantastic, dreamlike vision we call reality. Despite your growing lucidity in this Maya, this illusory world of ours, your budding powers are weighed down by the sheep-like complacency of billions of sleepers who take the world in front of them at face value. The weight of their collective dream is known to you and your fellow mages as consensus. And as you struggle against the weight of consensus in order to make the impossible possible, you risk a kind of backlash, known to your kind as paradox. As you seek to defy reality and assert your own vision, paradox presses in around you like a kind of karma or cosmic justice, punishing you for your defiance against the collective will with a kind of corrective severity. From the moment of your awakening, a spirit begins to stir in you. Some call it their holy guardian angel, their higher self, or their genius. Regardless of what you call it, this spirit within is if not the ultimate source of your powers as a mage, then certainly it is your connection to that source, without which all that you do becomes utterly impossible. Your connection to this spirit within, this avatar of the divine, or spark of genius, is all that really separates you from the slumbering masses who have no connection with ultimate truth. The highest punishment that any mage can face at the hands of his own people is Gil Gul, the destruction of a mage's avatar, which in turn destroys their ability to wield magic. It cuts off the possibility of future reincarnation, and may very well kill those on whom it is performed. Those who still possess an avatar within them are constantly pushed by this avatar, whether in dreams or visions, or even merely by subtle intuitions toward the true goal for any mage: Ascension. Buddhahood, oneness with God, whatever you call it, Ascension is the birthright and destiny of any mage by virtue of their awakening. If Ascension is more than mere myth, then it is so rare among the already vanishingly rare mage population that few could say with certainty what Ascension is truly like, or whether such an elevation of one's state of being is really possible. Regardless, the soul pushes one thither toward greatness. Through the power and insight granted by connection to one's avatar, mages are able to manipulate and control, to varying degrees, the 9 aspects of reality known as the 9 spheres. The 9 spheres of magic are as follows. The sphere in which all things originate is the sphere of Prime, which governs both the metaphysical patterns that serve as the original causes of things, and the metaphysical life energy, sometimes referred to as Chi or Prana or Mana, which many cultures recognize. That which originates in the metaphysical causal reality of Prime is then conceived in the sphere of mind. Think of mind in this case not strictly as being tied to the brain, per se, for many psychic entities roam throughout the astral realm of the mind without ever touching upon a single brain. And even those, like the enlightened members of the Technocratic Union, who understand all magic as science, recognize the principles of anthropic fields through which reality as we know it manifests. Rather, think of mind here as a realm of its own, where dreams and imagination reside, but which we tap into consciously and unconsciously. From there, what is conceived in the mind is focused through the sphere of spirit. All ghosts, gods, and demons exist within the spiritual realm. On the other side of the veil or gauntlet that separates our physical reality from the ephemeral spiritual reality. What is focused through spirit then takes form through the 3 pattern spheres. The sphere of forces, of matter, and of life. Effects woven through the pattern spheres most directly affect physical and tangible reality, such as forces controlling electricity, gravity, and the push and pull of the wind. matter controlling the substance and the shape of objects, and life controlling the complex, animate forms of organisms, which masters of the matter sphere potentially lack the insight to control effectively. The three pattern spheres are then perceived in the spheres of time and correspondence, which is sometimes thought of as the sphere of space. What forms are perceived in time and space then decay through the final sphere of entropy, and finally return to the source in the sphere of prime. Every mage has insight into some, but not necessarily all, of the 9 spheres. As he or she grows in understanding and mastery of the spheres of magic, greater changes become possible. By using the spheres in concert with one another, the mage can go beyond the capabilities of any one sphere on its own, based on their understanding of how all the spheres go into weaving together the tapestry of reality as we know it. For instance, a mage who understands forces, but not the prime sphere, has great influence over the energy and forces of the world around us, from light to heat to gravity, and can manipulate those forces, but cannot generate them ex nihilo without understanding how the patterns of various forces are woven into the metaphysical fabric of reality. By combining a sufficient understanding of both prime and forces, a mage could conjure fire or lightning from nothing, doing so with just the snap of his or her fingers. However, this is generally thought to be impossible by many sleepers, and doing so flagrantly defies consensus, inviting paradox. This is the tenuous tightrope on which the mage walks. As the budding awakened deepens his or her understanding of the nature of reality, they obtain more power to shape and change the world around them, and yet find that it is a world that resists change, even to the point of inflicting harm on those who bring it. Just as in Plato's allegorical cave, the truth cannot be brought before the prisoners of the cave, for they only know a world of shadows, and one invites personal injury by revealing more than people are willing or able to accept. So the mage practices in secret in order to grow in wisdom and in virtue, also known as arete, from the Greek word for excellence, or fullness of power and realization of potential. And as that arete grows, so grows his capacity for true understanding of the spheres of magic. And this is where the rubber truly meets the road. Up to this point, a mage's life is all a matter of high-minded philosophy and discovery. However, as a mage grows in power, so too do the temptations to use that power to make a difference in the world. How frustrating is it to sit on top of a gold mine that you cannot spend because you live in a society that does not accept gold as payment? In order to use his or her powers openly, a mage must convince the surrounding population of lethargic sleepers to believe in the reality of that magic. Unfortunately, not everyone who has awakened carries the same vision for reality. This often brings them into sharp conflict. And in our modern age, the primary conflict is between the traditions of the old world and the innovations of the new. This conflict known as the Ascension Wars, began in the Middle Ages and up to the present day, and exists between the traditional forms of magic and mysticism on the one hand, known collectively as the Council of Nine Traditions, or simply the Traditions, and their bitter rivals, the Technocratic Union, or more simply, the Technocracy. Those in the Traditions hold to the freedom of personal power and to opposing the soul-grinding nature of modern innovation. However, the Technocracy holds that magic is wild and dangerous, which is undoubtedly true, and that society needs to be more controlled, with power distributed for its own protection. There are other factions as well. The Disparate Alliance has banded together simply to resist the power of the Traditions and the Technocracy, so as to survive in relative peace. The Nefandi are totally corrupted by evil, not only wielding black magic, but having completely inverted their avatars, so that rather than pursuing ascension, they sink further into darkness and depravity. The Marauders have simply gone mad, not so much belonging to any sort of faction, so much as being an overarching category for those who have lost so much of their own sanity that their magic just spills out of them, uncontrollably warping reality without consequence, as all around them sink into their delusions. Many new players seeking to take on the role of a mage and enter in upon the world of darkness find themselves thwarted by two seemingly very intimidating factors. The first barrier to entry is the sheer volume of the rules and the lore presented in the books. The second barrier is simply this: Mage borrows many inspirations and concepts from real-world occult, mystical, and esoteric beliefs and practices. If you're very knowledgeable about such things, then you may find many of Mage's rules quite intuitive and easy to use. If you're not very knowledgeable about real-world occult traditions, then it can be difficult to wrap your head around and master the rules. The difficulties can range from uncertainties about how to create a character to how to devise a spell and how to build a story around it. A knowledgeable storyteller, that is a dungeon master but for the world of darkness, can help new players to navigate such difficulties. But in the following series, I hope to simplify the concepts, making the game easier to play and the ideas easier to grasp for you and for everyone at your prospective table. If you would like to hear more, please support me by clicking like and subscribing down below. Thank you.